So let's give them a warm welcome, everyone in the chat. Please say hello to Ashley and Ken from Sledgehammer Horror. What's happening, guys?
What up?
Hey.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for staying up late for us here. How are y'all doing tonight?
I wore a tie too.
Yeah. He's better dressed than I am.
Dressed and ready to go.
You're all dressed up. What is that patch there on the? What is that there?
It's actually a Candyman shirt.
Okay.
Oh,
nice.
Can't really see it, but yeah, Candyman shirt.
Yeah.
You know, I need to get a tie. See, you're even though it's a t-shirt and a tie, I don't know. Does it look? Do I look too Miami Vice? Do I need a tie? Let me know in the chat, guys. Should I tie it up? Should I do something weird like a bow tie with the separation?
There you go.
There? You should.
The problem child bow tie.
Yes. A big old bow tie.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us out there in Michigan, my wife's home state. Now, are you guys right in the city? Or are you just right outside of the city there?
No, we're actually in southern Michigan. We're about an hour away from Detroit now.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Kate, she grew up in Detroit a little bit, and then White Lake for some of her time out
Tyler
there.
wanted to see the Coheed tat. It's a Iron Fist
nice.
From the Afterman. Yeah, we're big Coheed fans. Actually, Josh, the drummer, is a really good friend of ours, and he was actually just recently in a car accident. He's fine. It was pretty scary, but they'll always be super special to us because, like I said, Josh's wife is from Michigan too. So, he's just one of the most amazing people on the planet, man.
Yeah, Coheed, they're one of those bands where, like, I've heard a handful of songs. I've just never done like a dive and sat and listened to a record. I don't have any reason why. I liked what I heard because if I remember correctly, it's like, there's certainly like a kind of a poppy edge to it, but it's also like a little like prog rocky, little elements of that. And then the very high, like kind of falsetto vocal that, they work in there as well.
It's funny because like our daughter's name is Chloe. And I knew I was going to name my daughter Chloe in 7th grade. The Coheed record, Second Stage Turbine Blade. There's a song on that.
You didn't even say Chloe.
I know, but there's a song on that record. It's called Everything Evil. And in the song, the ending of the song, yeah, K-Line's my dude. Also, I rep Detroit. Kate, thank you very much. Yeah, Josh and Julie are both great. 33 is amazing. But they have a song called Everything Evil, and in the end of that song, he sings, and she screamed Claudio. Oh, well, I thought he said Chloe O when I was a kid. Like I just heard I heard Chloe O, and I knew then that my daughter would be named Chloe, and like I was like, that's the most beautiful name. That's gonna be my daughter's name if I'm ever lucky enough to have a little girl, and sure enough, our daughter's name is Chloe. I had to fight for it. But
I think you had to fight more for naming our son Kenny.
Yeah, Kenny. We have Kenny, Chloe, and Kenley, and Kenley is a mix between Ken and Ashley. So
there you go.
All three of them.
And
the first song I heard, Tyler, was June Song Provision Acoustic. Was the first Coheed track I heard, and I loved it. I just loved it so much. And they're just some of the coolest people in the world. We go see them every time they come around here, and nothing but love for them.
Yeah, Big Rod, I'm the same way. I like a lot of bands' early stuff.
I still did. Like the last Coheed record is probably my least favorite they've done, but the Afterman is actually my favorite. Like the whole Afterman record, the first and second half, Ascension and Descension. I think that's my favorite record of theirs. I think it's so damn good.
Yeah, I definitely think there are some of those bands that are like, no matter what, you're sort of ride or die. Or for whatever reason, like sometimes there's a band from Princeton, New Jersey called Saves the Day that I really love. And I felt like every time like I grew up or there was a different chapter in my life, it was like they were growing up with me. So even though the band kind of changed, I was like, oh, wow, this is like still relevant to what's going on.
Want to hear a super funny Saves the Day story?
Go for it.
So I'm not trying to do like the pat myself on the back thing or anything, but Chris is a good friend of mine too. And the song that Ashley and I danced to, our first dance was Undress Me by Saves the Day. And for our anniversary, Chris did a Zoom call with me and he played Undress Me acoustic, and me and Ashley danced in our living room to
oh my God,
Chris playing and singing Undress Me. You can actually find it on my daughter's YouTube channel. We uploaded it there because we didn't want to put it on Sledgehammer Horror, but I probably should. But
Yeah. Why the heck not?
yeah, it was right. Yeah, Chris came on and played Undress Me for us, and we danced together in the living room. And yeah, it was saves. Obviously,
That's
at the
amazing.
end of every episode, we end it with "Stay What You Are," you know, because saves the day is so important to us too.
Yeah. So do you guys grew up listening to them?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I found that, you know, because listening to all the Epitaph stuff, all that skate punk stuff, and then the first time I heard Saves the Day, I was like, oh, it has those elements, but it's a little something different. You know, a little more polish, a little more like sensitive. Let's just say.
Definitely. I found Saves on Much Music back when Fuse was called Much Music, and it was the video for Through Being Cool.
Shoulder to the Wheel.
Yeah, Shoulder to the Wheel, the third track on that record. And dude, I just remember the "We Drive Day Steps." I was like, this is a fucking awesome. And I remember downloading that record on Napster.
There you go.
And just like how blown away I was by like Rock's Tonic Juice Magic, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you're hearing a punk band drop the beat, you know, heart is on the floor. I was like, whoa, this is fucking sick, dude.
The production on those records, like Steve Evans, because he went and did, I don't know if you guys are fans of Lifetime, but they're one of my favorite bands.
Oh yeah.
They're from New Brunswick, New Jersey, and Steve Evans did their 2 records. And then he came over and he did like the first 2 Saves the Days. And yeah, Through Being Cool is just one of those records where like the drums really pop. I love albums that kind of have the drums a little bit loud. Like I really love that about that record. And yeah, it was kind of cool because I'd imagine you guys are somewhere around the same age. I was like, oh, this is awesome that these guys are like my contemporaries. Like I can listen to a band they're probably like a year older than me or something like that.
The cool thing is, do you know that Fall Out Boy auditioned Patrick into the band by playing Through Being Cool all the way through? That was his audition to be in Fall Out Boy.
That was really?
Yeah, swear to God.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine he could probably sing Saves the Day songs really well. I am not a fan of Fall Out Boy, but I can certainly see how they sort of fit that same, you know.
I really liked Take This to Your Grave when it was released. I thought it was really dope. I was never really big on From Under the Cork Tree. It wasn't really my cup of tea back then. But like, I don't know what the record is, but the one that they just released recently, they had like My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark, Alone Together, You Were My Picket Fence, I Miss Missing You, whatever. The one that had Elton John on it, like that record was dope, dude, from front to back. And like, it was so, I don't know. Because Fall Out Boy is one of those bands like that. It's kind of like Blink, Green Day, Newfound Glory, like that type of pop punk era to me. Every time one of those bands releases a new record, I'm always going to check it out. Like I'm always going to listen to it just to see, you know, if there's something I dig on it. And it's funny because like we grew up in an area that's super, super conservative. And so like punk rock and horror movies was like the most rebellious shit you could do.
Like you were the outcast if you liked those type of movies, or like
listen to that music.
listen to that music.
So I was like the Bob from Salt Lake City Punk. Like I was Bob, and Ashley was like Jason Segel's. Yeah, she was like Jason Segel's character, to where she was like punk, but she didn't wear the outfit. You know what I mean? Like she didn't have to wear a punk uniform. Like she was into horror movies. Like she loved all. Like we've been going to see like. We went to see the Ataris in the shelter, and it was literally like us and like 30 other people.
It was a very like small,
just so intimate.
It was very intimate.
The only time I think I've ever been nervous meeting someone.
I was like, go talk to him.
I'll
take your picture.
Yeah, Chris Rowe from the Ataris. I was like, oh my God, that's Chris Rowe.
And like
she was like, go talk to him. I was like, no,
literally
it's okay.
like what, you weren't even smiling in the picture.
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was
like,
he was like, I got 5 minutes. He was like, I got a couple minutes.
Yeah, I got a couple minutes. I got to take a piss. I was like, it's fine. You know, like I was all nervous and shit. But dude, Chris Rowe's has been another one of my huge, dude. Like the first time I heard Sam Davis, like my mind.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know, like even now when I hear that kick snare, like I'm just like,
oh yeah,
yo, like I get amped. like because I started my life playing drums.
Mhm.
I got a drum kit when I was 8, you know, and I just started playing drums.
Hell
And I was
yeah.
like, man, I can't write music on drums. So then I started playing like guitar, that morphed into bass, to piano. So I started doing like a bunch of shit, and I was in punk bands from the time I was like 13 until I was like 22. I was in the same band. We were called Hearts Bleed Black, actually. And you know, we had so much fun, and like we did like a 5-city tour. It was like Detroit, Chicago. We ended in Bemidji, Minnesota. And when we played in Bemidji, Minnesota, we opened for Funeral for a Friend. And
Oh,
it was the
wow.
coolest shit in the world. I saw The Used. I actually have a Lies for the Liars tattoo as well. A couple band tattoos. I got Lies for the Liars. I got My Heart Bleeds No More, Silverstein, a yellow cat, red cat for Say Anything, and then the Iron Fist for Coheed.
Mhm.
Nice.
But yeah, like punk was so important to us. Like not as
Yeah.
much Ashley. She was like, you know, I love the music, but again, I'm not gonna wear your uniform. I'm not gonna dye my hair.
Mhm.
Like
I feel
where
like
I took it to one extreme, she was like the other. Like I'm just gonna be me.
I
don't give a
will,
fuck.
Yeah.
You know, my
Yeah.
chem, absolutely loved my chem.
Yeah, my chem is really interesting because they were, you know, I kind of missed their first wave of popularity. I was still, you know, just actually I think I dove at that point like more into hardcore in the early 2000s. There's this band from Philly called Paint It Black, and it's you know, one of the guys from Lifetime, and they're just like a really tough hardcore band, and for whatever reason that really spoke to me, and I kind of got away from like the stuff that I saw as like hair, you know, the neo hair band kind of stuff. But man, listening to My Chemical Romance through Kate, like she kind of turned me on to them, and just
Mhm.
realizing that, oh man, the songwriting quality is amazing here. Like
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking Queen level songwriting with obviously, you know, you bring in Rob Cavallo, who is Green Day's producer, and so he gives him that slick Green Day polish, and it's just, you know, really, really good shit. I feel like such a fool now for having poo-pooed it and not listened to it. I even thought like when I first saw Motion City Soundtrack, I was like, oh God, the friggin' hair. And then I listened to their record and I'm like, oh geez, I'm a jerk.
Tell me that you're all right.
Yeah, that I'm like,
Yeah.
this is the smartest like pop punk that I've
So
heard in
good,
such
dude.
a long time. And like
I
smart
feel-
pop punk, that's the bread and butter. I mean, I'm a Descendants guy, so it's like, you know, this is just
Yeah.
a natural evolution of something like that, you know?
Well, you're talking about like Motion City Soundtrack. There's nothing catchier than the end of When You're Around. I can't fucking stand it. Like that is
Yeah.
so fucking like catchy and great.
Oh
It's
yeah.
such like a sing-alongable thing, like when you're live.
Yeah.
See, like, but and then like you go back to that type of pop punk, like the Starting Line. I was huge on the Starting Line. The Ataris.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of some bands that me and you went to see. Coheed.
Yeah, we went to
Yeah.
see- I'm trying to think, where did we go that you like ate the fan cupcakes and
That was
I
Saves
was
the Day.
fucking freezing and all I wanted to do was
Dude,
go home.
when we first met Chris from Saves the Day, like I literally sat there talking to him, and like it was freezing, like it was
he
negative
had, like,
degrees
these
outside.
these like fan made him
Cupcakes.
cupcakes.
I was like,
and
I'll eat it to make sure they're fine, Chris.
I was like, I'm not eating that cupcake.
I'll jump on the grenade for you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, right?
In the car, like Ken, we gotta go. I was like, fuck you
It
guys,
was so
man.
cold. It was like Michigan winter, and
But we like connected, like me and Chris, like we had this like weird connection. Like we just talked about like music and life, and like he was talking to me about like Buddhism and like love and shit. And I was just like, you are the coolest fucking guy. I don't agree with what you're saying, but your passion makes me want to listen to you talk about it.
Yeah. All I do was go.
No, go ahead.
Dive into the crowd, and you like wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I was so.
Me.
Well, the first time, like one of the first times we've seen Coheed, we had early access passes. We had VIP passes, so we got to go in and have like an intimate thing with them. And then like we were right at the front, and I can't remember who opened for them, but it was a super hardcore band. And the dude behind us was like, "I'm gonna slam into him," and I was just ready to. I elbowed the dude in the face. I was like, "You're not gonna get anywhere near my fucking wife."
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I was defend her to the death.
That happens at shows. There's been I mean, for the most part, like people are pretty cool at concerts, but man, I've had a couple people where I'm just like, dude, you're standing on my dick. Like, get off of me right now. You know, like
I agree, Brad,
They were
about Seosin.
super drunk too,
Seosin's
and
sick.
like security was trying to find them because they were doing it to a bunch of people.
And I was
like,
getting pissed,
yeah.
dude. Like I'm really honestly like very calm most of the time. I'm pretty easygoing, easy to get along with. But if you try to fuck with my wife or my kids, I'm pretty aggressive pretty quickly.
Yeah, I heard you.
try
I heard
not
you
to.
on your franchise tier ranking. I heard you talk.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Well,
don't
you
talk to
know,
my kids, man. Like, don't do it.
at
Get Hunter
some point,
Dunbar.
somebody's gonna do something that makes you bring that dog out. You know,
You have to.
Yeah.
And my thing is, especially when, like I said, we were talking on the franchise thing. We were talking about being in New York, you know, and having homeless people come up and talking to my kids and asking my 4-year-old for money to feed their dog. And it's like, I would have happily gave you money, but get the fuck away from me. Like, you're talking to my 4 and 7-year-old. Like, I don't know you. I don't know what your goal is with my children. Get the fuck away.
Yeah, my kids don't need to be exposed to like your lifestyle right now at this point in their lives. So thank you very much.
You know what I mean? Like, they're kids. They're 4 and 7. That's why I got pissed off. Like, and I don't want to sound insensitive because
feel sorry, you know.
Right. I would have helped you. I don't mind, you know, giving some money. What you can make more. I don't give it. I hate money. Everybody knows that. I hate it. But like when you start talking to my kids and trying to like guilt trip my 7-year-old into giving you money, I get really angry really quick. So let's talk about positive shit. I know.
Yeah,
she was more like where I was more like punk, and then I loved like Penfold. You were totally emo.
I know.
Like I got into like Penfold and like I'm trying to think like Owen, American football, stuff like that.
Oh my god, holy crap. Now you're talking Owen and American football. Really good shit, man.
Mike Kinsella is amazing. She likes American football. She likes the Postal Service.
I do. Like
Death Camp for Cutie. I'm trying to think. Last Days of April was a big one for her. We tried to start a GoFundMe to get Last Days of April to come over here, over the pond, so they could play shows here in the States, just so we could go catch them. If you guys have never heard the song The Days I Recall Being Wonderful by Last Days of April and Alcohol and Aspirins, those are two fantastic songs. And like I said, they're like a European emo band, but they're so damn good, man. Like The Days I Recall Being Wonderful is one of the saddest songs I've ever heard in my entire life. It's beautiful. Like such a beautiful oh my god, so good. So good.
I see, and I've totally missed this band, so I need to check them out because if it's in that same vein. Yeah,
dude. Yeah, if you dig like Owen and like American football, like that math rock shit, you'll love Last Days of April. Like it's like that. Kate just said Chiodos. We opened for Chiodos, my band did, at the MySpace Internet Cafe.
Oh wow.
In Michigan. And honestly, I hate to be that guy, man. Craig Owens was a dick.
Really?
He was a total dick, man. And this is like
I feel like I went to that.
You were. That was the night Nick died.
I feel like I was like 15 years old or something. Yeah.
Our friend had taken his own life right before we went on stage. I got the phone call from my sister. And we literally played the show with all 3 of our band members like holding back tears the whole time because one of our best friends, who my sister named her son after, one of our best friends growing up, he had taken his own life, and we found out literally minutes before we went on stage.
Oh geez.
Because my sister tried to call, and I was like, I'll call her back, and then she called right back, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
You know, and then I found out, and that was rough. But yeah, he was a total dick to us. Like Craig was a total dick, and I was just like, I didn't even. This was when they were still the Chiodos Bros. They weren't even called Chiodos yet. They were still the Chiodos Bros.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like,
so they hadn't
like
popped off
like
too much.
Big band yet, you know, and it was just like, damn, man, like that sucks. Like, but again, he was a teenager too, you know. Like, I don't hold it against him. This was 15 years ago, but it was still just a huge bummer.
It is unfortunate when you get to meet somebody and you're like, and then you know you're like, well, who knows? Maybe it's just like they do this every day of their lives. You don't know what kind of day they're having. And
I just found out a friend of mine had taken his own life, you know, so maybe I wasn't in the right state of mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this could have been totally on me. Like, I'm definitely willing, because I've heard other people say, like, I love that guy. Like, he was so sweet. And so
I feel like we've had interactions with a lot, like people be like, that person's a dick. And then we meet them and they're, so it's just, You
Like,
never know.
and I'm not trying to, like I said, I don't want to like push the guy down.
Yeah.
Because that was just our one experience with him. And I don't know what he
Sure.
was going through that day. And my mind was kind of foggy too from what I was going through. So he
Yeah.
might have just been, you know, being sarcastic and joking, and I just wasn't in the mood for it because I had just lost someone close to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Atreyu, Someone Standing on My Chest is a fantastic song. So is the Remembrance Ballad. Those are two amazing songs by Atreyu.
And that's another band that I, you know, was totally aware of. And just for whatever reason, I was just still diving into the punk stuff that I was so obsessed with. I hit this, like, you know, of course it was No Effects, all that kind of stuff. And then like in my early 20s, like huge deep dive into like Elvis Costello and like the Smiths and stuff like that. So I like kind of veered off from the punk, always listen to the punk stuff. It would always be my center, but I'd find like maybe some stuff that I had missed before. Now when you talking about emo, you guys like Jets to Brazil?
You see, like, there's two bands that everyone always loved that I never really got into, and it was Jets to Brazil and Texas Is the Reason. Like,
okay.
Everybody always and I never got into them. Like,
for me, that first Jets to Brazil is the one. Yeah. So yeah, actually, so if you're more of like the emo kid, what was it like? What was your speed? I mean, obviously you liked the other stuff enough to go to the shows and everything, but what are some bands you listened to that Ken didn't listen to?
Oh gosh.
If we're going that route, it would probably be radio pop stuff.
Yeah.
Because she was also really into like
I don't think that I just
wide variety.
Yeah, like I never really just was like I listen to this or I listen to that. Like I could listen to Queen, I can listen to Eminem. Like I love a lot of different music. So it's like
she just preferred like Death Cab and stuff like that to No Effects or what was the other one that I used to listen to? The Rancid. She fucking hated Rancid and Anti-Flag. You gotta die for your government. Like she hated that shit. But yeah, we like, and it's funny because we used to like go to shows just to like get samplers. Because like we would just walk around like Detroit and go to like St. Andrews, the Shelter, and people would hand out their samplers, and it was so crazy because that's how we found out about Hawthorne Heights was from a sampler that we got. And the sampler had like Hawthorne Heights. It was a Victory Records sampler, and it's still one of the best samplers I've ever heard. Oh, that's sick. I named my daughter Tegan after Tegan and Sarah. That's awesome. Dope. And then we ended up going to see who was it? I
don't know.
Silverstein opened the show. It was the first time I heard Silverstein, and they stole the show. So it was Silverstein, Most Precious Blood. There was one more band, and then From Autumn to Ashes closed the show. And Most Precious Blood, this is going to really irritate me. But Silverstein completely stole the show, and I could not believe how amazing that band was seeing them. And then like I dove into like really hard into Victory Records at that point because Victory Records was kind of hit or miss. But then I really dove in hard, and like it was like Silverstein, Hawthorne Heights, Spitalfield, like a bunch of great bands. And oh man, it was just so fucking rad. I miss those days. I miss days going to Hot Topic again, like Welcome to the Family, a drive-through record sampler. You know, like I miss those days.
Oh yeah. There was like Nitro. Yeah, Nitro Records had like the Go Ahead Punk. There was the Punkoramas from Epitaph. All the fat ones. I really love the fat. Like Survival of the Fattest was like that. Probably got the most play out of any compilation between like my friends and I up in.
What about Short Music for Short People, man? 101.
I do really like that one.
Like that was legit.
Yeah, I think my favorite one. There's that German band Wieso, and they just count to 30. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
An amazing song. I don't think it was
half of their songs are 30 seconds.
Yeah, I know, right? It wasn't I Like Food, but it was another one that they had on there, and it was so fucking dope. But
I love that the Teen Idols Ketchup Soup.
It might have been. But like the Descendants were one of those bands that could like make a 25-second punk rock song, but could also make a 3.5-minute love song that was so good. And so
that's how they got me. I was a sappy, I mean, I still kind of am a bit of a sentimental guy. But man, back then, like in my like late middle school, early high school, it was all about Descendant songs like Get the Time and Silly Girl and all that kind, Clean Sheets, all that kind of stuff. But then as I got older, like I still love those songs. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I do kind of like the really angular, like, just madhouse songs that, because to me, it just sort of showed that the Descendants are one of those bands that everyone would say, oh, you like punk rock, so you like these musicians that can't even play. And to me, the Descendants are the greatest example of, great musicians that choose to play punk rock because that's, how they express themselves. And so I just, the precision is amazing for the Descendants.
I still think that when you talk about the most underrated emo bands, and you got to give me a second to explain why, because people are gonna be like, really underrated. And I would say this might be Ashley and I's. If you're talking about like a band that we both love, that I would say is probably our favorite band as a unit. That's not Coheed and Cambria. I would say Jimmy Eat World is the one, because I mean, you go from Clarity all the way to their most recent record, Surviving, and every single record is so unique and so perfect. And Damage, the record Damage, I still can't listen to that record without my heart breaking into pieces. Like, that is just a concept record about, Jim Atkins' divorce. And like every song on there has something that just shatters you. Like in the opening track, Appreciation, the opening line to that song is, "Thank you, honey, for reminding me how long you can stay with someone you never see." And it's just like, him being on tour and shit. And then like, "I Will Steal You Back. Please Say No." Like, it's a song like, I've been drinking. I want to call you. Please say no, because if you say yes, I'm going to be there. I'm going to come back. I'm not strong enough to stay away.
I need you to say no. Yeah.
Right. And then the closing track is called You Were Good. And it's just a stripped down acoustic song. And again, one of the most heartbreaking lines I've ever heard in a song, because the chorus is, "You were good, then you were gone. I believed in you all along." But then the second verse is, "You got a charm you wear around your neck. It reminds you of him, and I can see right through. Either you're just bad at cheating, or there's something in your heart you wish I knew." And it's just like, oh,
yeah,
God, man, that record from front to back. But then even other, like, every single record they have has that at least one song that's just like, like right in the stomach, And whenever people think of Jimmy Eat World, they think of The Middle, which I loved The Middle when it came out. And then it got to the point where it was like, it was played on the radio all the time. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. No,
you listen to that song now, for me, as the father of a teenage girl and a 4-year-old girl, The Middle makes me want to cry. It just takes some time, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride, everything will be all right. Like, oh man, like that's my song to my daughters, man.
Yeah, and that was an interesting, like, that era right then when Bleed American came out. It was like the same year that Stay What You Are came out. There was like that genre of music kind of had a little bubble that like kind of burst into the mainstream there for a little bit. So it was really cool. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was great to see bands like that get their due, because I always remember like Tom DeLonge would talk about Jimmy Eat World all the time. Like when Blink popped off in the late 90s, he was like, Clarity is like the most important record. And then, of course, I went and listened to Clarity and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting, because this sounds like it's so far away from
what Blink
what Blink does. Yeah. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool though, that he doesn't listen to the kind of music that he writes necessarily.
And the first pressing of Bleed American is worth so much money.
I bet, because it's called Bleed American.
Well, yeah, they released Bleed American.
They had to retitle it.
And then they had to retitle it to self-titled Jimmy Eat World after the trade tower attacks on 9/11.
Yeah.
And which they offered to do. They were like, yo, I think that it was only right that we changed the name of the record.
And it was just odd timing, because the record came out like a month before or 2 months before. It was it was in the summer, I think, that it came out. Yeah.
And I just remember being so excited to buy that record, like standing outside Sam Goody, waiting to go in and buy this record. And then you flash forward a few years, and me and Ashley are doing that. We're waiting to buy big Casino record, you know, and like we're all excited about that one. And that one had a say whatever you want because I can laugh it off. Ha ha ha. Oh my God. Jimmy World is so damn good, man. I saw someone else mention Thursday. Thursday is so dope. So dope. Full Collapse, top 10 record of all time.
Full Collapse is really fun. I was fortunate enough to see them on that tour. They played with it was Saves the Day, Thursday, and I think it was like Dashboard Confessional was at that show. And then this band called Seville. The drummer from Dashboard played in this band called Seville, and he was one of the singers. So Seville had like 3 singers, and the guy that back there behind the drum kit singing, and he had this beautiful voice. I always love a drummer that can sing. I don't know what it is. You tell me, Ken. What is it about a drummer that can sing that just really gets you going?
Amazing. It depends though. Like if he has a headset, lazy. If he's actually reaching over to that mic and he's still doing
that's the one. Like,
that's what I think is dope as hell. I see Kate talking about Taking Back Sunday. The first time we saw Taking Back Sunday, it was Taking Back Sunday, the starting line, and the early November. And Adam Lazzara had broken his hip falling off stage. So he was up there with a cane and like he couldn't move. Like he was on a cane and he was trying to swing the mic and shit. And it was so funny. But yeah, Taking Back Sunday is a big brand new. If I had to choose the best 10 seconds of a song, it's in The Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows. When they get to the bridge and it does the I lie for no one, or I lie for only you and I lie well, hallelujah. When they do that drum part, oh my God, dude, like goosebumps right now.
Yeah.
Like the quiet things when they do just the cymbals and then the big snare, the do.
You know,
God,
I'm glad you brought that up, because that whole East Coast like emo pop punk thing where the breakdowns were like massive. And I'm a bit like, I just have to interject and say, to me, that's like a Lifetime thing. Like, because Lifetime, they would do that, the huge breakdowns. And then I noticed that all these bands that were, because Lifetime broke up originally like in 97. They just sort of like, you know, kind of flash in the pan. And then when I heard bands like Taking Back Sunday and Saves the Day and stuff like that, I was like, man, I'm hearing that they're sort of taking what Lifetime did and making it a little more palatable, a little more accessible. But bringing in some of those elements, like those big, heavy breakdowns. Because to me, like when I first heard Lifetime, that's what I loved about it, is that it was like 90 seconds of like breakneck speed and then 90 seconds of a breakdown. You know, it was just like you get in, you get out, you know, you get your sing-along part and everything like that.
Well, you're talking about, you know, the East Coast shit. Like everybody wants to talk about Kendrick and Drake. Man, Taking Back Sunday and Brand New, that was the fucking have another drive yourself home. Like when you had 70 times 7 versus There's No I in Team. I was like, oh shit, they're stealing each other's lyrics just to go against each other. This is nuts. Like that was so fucking funny.
Yeah, the rivalry and everything. And
dude. Well, then like I loved, because everybody's always told me, like, I'm fucking around singing here, but everybody has always told me when I sing that I sing like John Nolan, that I have a lot of John Nolan in my singing. Actually, her brothers thought we were listening to Stray Light Run, and they were like, isn't this you? Because I could do a perfect cover of Soon We'll Be Living in the Future. And like I loved Stray Light Run. Like when Stray Light Run came out and did their shit with John and Michelle and Sean, the bassist from Taking Back Sunday, I thought Stray Light Run was so good because he was able to, you know, go against the formula. Like Your Name Here, Sunrise Highway, beautiful song. Another Word for Desperate. Like that song blew my mind. I was like, fuck, what is another word for desperate? Like, how can I explain what desperate means? You know, I was like, God damn it, John Nolan, you got me. But, you know, just these things that the coolest thing about all this shit though, is like the memories I have with Ash, like going to see the Ataris at the shelter and then getting lost on the ride home and going into the most redneck bar. Like me with my
is back when we didn't have
GPS.
Yeah, you had
to print out MapQuest directions.
Yeah. And I had to drive. That was horrible.
Yeah, I had a suspended license. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah. I was like 16 or 17.
Yeah.
But didn't know where the hell we were.
we went to into this most like redneck bar, dude, and like obviously I've always painted my nails. I used to have like green hair, girl pants. I was like, hey, we're lost, and they were like, oh, I know. Like, you goddamn right you are, son.
I was like in the car,
locking the doors, like
yeah.
But like these memories I have, like going with my wife, you know, like we've been together 19 years now, and music and horror movies has been what's connected us the whole time.
More horror movies.
More horror movies, but like another thing that I used to do all the time is like she would find a song that she loved, and so like my band would do like a punk cover of it. You know, like just so I could try to impress her, you know, like, like we would do shit like that all the time. Placebo, Special K, man. I loved Placebo. Mindless Self-Indulgence. All the Mindless Self-Indulgence songs I love. If I sang them now, I'd get canceled.
It's too bad, you know. Sometimes you revisit some of that art and you're like, oh, I can't sing that anymore. All those rap songs. I can't sing these rap songs. Oh man.
It's funny because like I loved like late 80s, early 90s rap, like NWA, Snoop Dogg, Bone Thugs and Harmony. Like I loved that. And then I kind of fell off for a while. And even like Eminem, like I loved his early shit, really fell off in the middle of his career, and his newer shit I think is so dope. I love the new stuff he's doing. And then you get like the newer, I guess, like mumble rap stuff, and I just I feel so old.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Because I'll be listening, like my son who's 16 will play stuff, and I'm like, what are they saying?
Like I know, I feel like my mom. I'm like, what is this shit? Like,
you want to hear music, son? Let's listen to some stuff from when I was your age. And I put on Cross Out the Eyes.
That's like your dad putting in AC/DC.
Yeah, my dad put on Meatloaf. Now this is music. Like,
Meatloaf's got some good stuff. I love
Meatloaf. I love Meatloaf, man. But like, but you know,
but the mumble, like
13, 14, you know, Weezer, Green Day, No Effects, shit. And my dad's like, let's listen to some Meatloaf. I was like, look, Dad, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but right now we're listening to MXPX, all right? So
see, and I got my dad into bands like MXPX and No Effects and Weezer. Like I would make little, because No Effects had, my dad didn't like music with bad words, so I like made a mixtape of all, I called it the No Effects Parental Mix. And that's what we would listen to on our ride to school every day. So I had songs that I knew like wouldn't offend my dad on a surface level.
Right.
And then with the what was I gonna say? Oh, the mumble rapping. To me, it's like it's the laziness of it. Like I don't even like I'm just like, dude, you put in some effort into your art. That's all I care about. Even like I gave, like I was working at a dispensary in Portland, and they listen to all sorts of hip hop, and they would always have like Mac Miller on and stuff like that. And like some of his songs, I was just like, and then every now and then I would hear one of his songs where I was like, but I really like it though. There's something about his voice when he just opens up a little bit more. I can actually like tell what he's saying, where I was like, okay, now I get it. And then when I heard his stuff, like his Tiny Desk stuff, and I can't remember the name of the record right now, but it's like the one that has like kind of like lounge instrumentation in it. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but that's when I was like, man, hip hop with like real instruments. There's something about that for me.
When it comes to something like that, because I don't hate anything, but you know, like my son was really into Juice WRLD. I thought Juice WRLD was pretty dope, man.
We rocked some Juice
all
WRLD.
White Gucci suit. I'm feeling righteous. You know, like I thought something like Juice WRLD was pretty dope, man. But you know, like it's funny because you know we talk about Eminem. Obviously, being Detroit people, Eminem was always the topic of conversation. Thank you, Tyler. Seriously, thank you so much. Hopefully, you like horror because we talk a lot about that. But like you know, obviously, and then like ICP. You know, like ICP was another huge one. I think me and you have talked about ICP before, Davey. Like, it wasn't really my scene. But like I respect them so much because of the juggalos and juggalettes.
Yeah,
but it is pretty impressive, like what they created, you know.
It's
and
amazing.
Their songs, like that Great Milenko record, when that came out, what is that? They're like their 3rd album, I think. That record just cracked me up. Oh, did I lose you guys? No, you're there.
You're frozen for us.
Okay, gotcha. I think
we're
both.
Or you. Kate, you're 100% right. If you are in Michigan, you have to love Eminem and Kid Rock.
And know everything about them.
Yeah. We didn't grow up on the same block. Funny enough. But yeah, man, like it's so fun just talking about music and shit because like we don't get to do that on our channel. But I think the problem is
us.
Yep.
I think it sort of you guys got back on and then it froze again, but I think you're slowly coming back. Oh, we have the spinning wheel on Late Night with the Davey. All right, chat. While the spinning wheel does its thing, throw me some start bench cut. Let's play start bench cut in the chat. Yeah. So Kate, anybody that has any relation to Michigan, I will say that's her guy. And even if it's somebody she actively doesn't like. And Dice says Kid Rock. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan, Dice. However, that Joe Dirt, he plays a good jerk in Joe Dirt. He does a good job there. I'm just gonna go back over. There we go. We got it all figured out. I'm a professional. I promise. I'm a professional. Okay, guys. We'll see if Ken and Ashley are able to get back, but I know it's really late where they're at. They've got to wake up early for work. So, hopefully they're able to pop back in so we can just say, a good official goodbye to y'all here. But yeah, guys, start bench cut. Linkin Park, Blink 182, Green Day. All right, here we go. Brad Hawk Talk. I'm going to start Green Day. I'm going to bench Blink 182 and I'm going to cut Linkin Park. That was an easy one for me, but I guess I've just never been the biggest Linkin Park guy, that kind, the new metal, the kind of like rappy metal stuff. Like I like the first couple Korn records, like the self-titled and Life is Peachy. I do like those records. I like the very first Limp Bizkit record, I think has some good tracks on it. It's just way more aggressive and less like hip hop influence than the rest of the stuff that they did. But Linkin Park never really did it for me too much there. Oh, it looks like they are coming back. All right, here we go. Let's get it. There you guys are.
We might get booted again. Our internet is being stupid right now.
No worries. And I know it's so incredibly late for you guys and you have to wake up early for work. So to at least be able to bring you back on here to to have a proper closeout to the interview would be great. So yeah, I totally get it. We're kind of at about that time anyway. So yeah, man, we could talk music all the time. Maybe we just need to hop on sometime and have a music chat. We can just plan out records. You guys give me some homework of some records I need to listen to. I'll throw you some homework of records that you guys should check out.
Need to do, man, we need to set up just, let us know. What we'll do is we need to just get on here and do a top 10 favorite records of all time.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, okay. Bring Kate too, though.
Okay, cool. We could do that.
Be a double date.
Yeah, we could do the top 10. We could do a tier ranking, some sort of fun, like something really cool to interact there with everybody in the audience. That would be awesome. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. A couple on couple ranking of top 10 records.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, staying on late. I know it's midnight or no. Yeah, midnight out there pretty much out there in Michigan. All right. Yeah, it's amazing here. It's really cool hearing those stories because it's like, hearing you guys talk about going to shows where there's only 30 people there. Like, I feel like I've lived those moments too, where it's like you look back and you're like, how cool is it that I saw this band when it was just like the most intimate thing? And then, when I was living in Portland in the late early 2000, the late aughts, the house that I lived at was called the Zombie House, and we had a whole bunch of shows there in the basement. And it was, one of those crazy things where like at one point, Kevin Seconds, I got an email from Kevin Seconds and he's like, hey, Davey, Kepi and I and Greg from the Bouncing Souls are on tour together. And we heard your guys' house is the place to play. And I was just like, You've got to be kidding me. That was like one of those wild moments. But even just like watching your friends' bands play in a sweaty basement, you know, and like, and you realize you have those moments where, and it's similar with horror at like a horror convention where you're like, this is sort of like church. These are my people. Like, I feel like not only is everyone like welcome and safe, but everyone is also like acting kind of wild, but it's this like controlled chaos kind of wild where you know nothing bad's really gonna happen, you know. It's
everybody looks out for everybody at the end of the day. You know, just like with the punk and the horror community, like we protect our own, you know.
And like you guys were saying earlier, it's sort of like you're enjoying something that's kind of fringe, you know, so you feel like an outsider just because of what your interests are. And so I think that there's definitely like that, you know, people kind of come together for that sort of thing. So yeah, it's been awesome catching up with you guys. Everybody, link in the description below to go check out Sledgehammer Horror. They've got YouTube memberships. They've got a merch shop. Do you guys have any deals going on in your merch right now?
Yeah, we actually have, I think, 30% off everything, and I think it's 50% off coffee mugs right now.
Hell yeah.
So come get your merchandise because our kids like to eat. And anybody on the East Coast or in the Southern Midwest, July 19th and 20th, Ashley and I will be guests at GhouliCon in Covington, Kentucky. So you can come meet us. And we will also be doing a couple panels while we're there, and we'll be premiering 5 minutes of our new film Psychasthenia, which is a lot of fun. We're very excited about this film. And then July 25th, 26th, and 27th, we'll be guests at Atlantic City Celebrity Convention in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And like Bret Hart's going to be there. C. Thomas Howell, Pony Boy from The Outsiders is going to be there. A whole bunch of people from The Walking Dead, Greg Nicotero. And then us, you know, so like we're kind of bottom of the bill there, but it's still amazing to be invited out there and be a part of it and have our own table where people can come and say hello and you know, come and meet us. We would love to be able to hang out with you guys and, you know, have a drink or a, you know, handshake or a hug or a burger or whatever. You know, we'd love to hang out with you guys. So if you're in Kentucky area, New Jersey area, please come out. We would love to meet you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. And guys, they're always hopping on live. They've got a great community over there that hops in with them. Just really, really fun horror content and plenty of it. So, you know, always doing new stuff. It seems like every other day you guys have something new popping up. So really appreciate you guys,
man, because our fans are the hammerheads and you got the death rays, man.
There it is.
Starts with the freaking laser beams, man. It's the hammerheads and the death rays. Yes, dude. That's I need a t-shirt with that, man.
We haven't found any sharks yet, sir. We have sea bass. Are they ill-tempered? Quite.
Oh man, dude, funny enough, swear to God. So the last song we wrote with Hearts Bleed Black was called "The Joyfulness Is Over," as a reference to Ghostbusters 2. The first song we wrote for the next band we were in, which was called Amora, was One Penis Enlarger Pump for Austin Powers. No, That's Not Mine. One Receipt. It was that whole thing was the name of the song. So we wanted to go pick like our kind of old school, like the old school punk days with the super long song titles. And like it was so fun because like when we would play shows, we'd be like, all right, guys, this song's called One Penis Enlarger Pump for Austin Powers. And people in the crowd would be like, that's not mine. And then we'd say the next part, like, getting so nostalgic about it.
And one book, Penis Enlargers and Me. It's my bag, baby.
Is my bag, baby.
Written by one Austin Powers.
I love how right after that he's like, Mr. Powers, and he's like, quickly.
Yeah, quickly.
Mm-hmm. Again, Davey, thank you so much for having us on. You know we're gonna bring you back. Bury Your Dead. Bury your fucking dead. Yes, they're great too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for having us back on, man. I got to be up in like 4 hours for work. Yeah, but it was awesome to hang out with you for a little bit, man. You know we love you. Can't wait to meet Kate. We got to plan this record date. And thank you for having us on, man.
Absolutely. You guys are amazing. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll talk soon.